What's going on, y'all? It's your guy Chase Johnson, aka 5100 CJ, back at you with another reaction video.
Two G's.
And today we're gonna talk about Miss Tracee Ellis Ross. Beautiful woman. Age has not done too much negativity to her. She takes care of her body, still looks good, you know, as they say, black don't crack. But we're gonna talk about what she said on Michelle Obama's podcast, which I have some thoughts about Michelle Obama and some of the things she's been saying about Barack Obama. It's kind of been interesting to me, her release of this podcast and some of the things she started with. Not very favorable of her quote unquote husband, but another conversation for another day. So Miss Ross came on the podcast, and one of the clips that went viral, which is going to be the clip I discussed today, is her thoughts on dating younger and older men. She basically alluded to she likes younger men and older men have this certain character flaw. So we're gonna go ahead and play the clip and let's see what she had to say.
A lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me, I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize, I have no interest in it, and I will not do it again.
She used the tagline that has been used for about the last, let's just say 6 to 10 years, right? And that tagline is toxic masculinity. It's a new buzzword. It's a word that a lot of people are using to describe the toxic nature of men, right? Now, me personally, I think the word and the phrase, or whatever you want to call it, toxic masculinity is just a bunch of BS, right? You have toxic people, you have toxic men, you have toxic women. There's no reason to put masculinity on it unless you're trying to push an agenda. And that's what that word and phrase was used for. You don't use that term, toxic masculinity, unless you're trying to push a narrative. They have been trying to push this thought process about men since I've been an adult. I want to say I first heard of it when I was like 25, 26, right? They were using sexism like crazy. You know, a whole bunch of words that are blanketed across men. Now, I gotta draw some parallels here, right? One thing she said was she likes younger men, right? Now, I gotta do it, bro. I gotta do it. Let a man come out, which has happened on several occasions, and say, I date younger women. What do they say? Anybody listening could think of what they're gonna say. I'll go ahead and say it for you. They're gonna say he's trying to groom this young girl. They wanna take advantage of this young girl. So I would ask the ladies, does the same apply here, or are you gonna say, well, it depends on how old they are, and it depends on what her intentions are, and you know what? I would agree. I just want to know why the energy is so different when it's a man. Because when it's a man, it's always something negative, something controlling, something trying to take advantage of. You know, those things, right? That's what's always said about men when they want to date younger. I actually date younger than myself, right? I'm 33. I like to date girls around 25, 26. And I get it. That's not so dramatic where you would make an issue. But trust me, there are people that have issues with it. That's neither here nor there, though. So let's talk about what she actually said. She talked about the old guard. So we're gonna say she's what? How old is Tracee Ellis Ross? Let's see. She's 52. So she's a Generation X woman, right? So she's talking about Generation X men. And basically this whole idea of patriarchy, right? Which people always add a negative connotation to it. Like the wise man Jordan Peterson said, there's really nothing wrong with patriarchy. Something is wrong with tyrannical patriarchy. And that's basically men oppressing people to get where they're trying to go, right? Patriarchy, men leading, I don't understand what's wrong with that, but I mean, I get it, right? So She said that that's a problem. So here's my question, because this is why men are so confused when it comes to dating. Because there are so many women that say you're a roommate if you don't pay all the bills. And you're not a man if you don't do X, Y, and Z. So now you have someone of the older guard, Tracee Ellis Ross, Generation X, that is telling people that basically that's just not the way to go, at least not for her, right? We all know that she's speaking for herself, but she's speaking in general. And there are women that are going to really support this. If you look at some of the comment sections, it's crazy. Matter of fact, let's look at one of the comment sections right quick. All right, one of the comments says, most relationships don't benefit the woman. Age doesn't equal maturity. Maturity is a mindset. My sister's prioritize safety, self-love, and self-validation. Toxic masculinity, or they want a nursemaid. So people are basically saying that this is self-love. Look, she has a right to choose what she wants. I don't have a problem with what she said. I mean, I don't have a problem with her choosing a certain type of a man. It is what it is. But what they're basically saying is the provider man. This whole idea of control, let me tell you what control is for women like this. A man having an opinion about what you're wearing, him not liking you going out a certain way, him wanting you to behave a certain way. They attribute that to toxic masculinity. I've seen it time and time again. You can't tell me what to wear. I'm a grown woman. That's why me personally, I'm paying attention to how you dress when I first approach you or talk to you or whatever the case may be, and I'm not gonna try to change anything. The moment I see you wearing too provocative of clothes or you twerking, or I'm not gonna really say nothing. I'm just gonna stop talking to you because I'm personally not dealing with that. It's just not gonna happen. That's not gonna be what I gotta deal with. It's just not gonna happen. The idea that that's toxic masculinity is the problem. They try to basically make any preference a man has as negative. Any preference a man has to be something that's sexually taboo or controlling, or a man trying to take advantage or groom, or things of that nature. This is what they do in relationships when it comes to men wanting younger women or men wanting a certain type of woman. There has to be something wrong with him for having a preference that does not indulge in toxicity, a woman doing whatever the heck she wants. Nobody in relationships get to do what the heck they want. All you have to do is reverse the roles. If your man is constantly going out making sure his print shows, if your man is constantly in women's faces and telling you it's nothing and you don't want that, that's not you being a toxic feminist. That's you wanting respect in your relationship. These are the problems that I have with things like this. And let's be honest, Tracee Ellis Ross is saying this because the truth is she can't get the men she actually wants. She can get the attention of them. But those men, especially of that age, they put the work in to be in a certain place. So certain things they just don't want to deal with. I know these men in my personal life. When they put that work in, when they get to where they're trying to go, with all that sacrifice and grind, yeah, they got a couple preferences that they're not gonna back up off of. If they're gonna take care of everything, they might, that might be what they want to do. You don't have to date them, but to call them toxic because they have a way of doing things, no. Now, what is a toxic man, since we're gonna talk about it? To me, a toxic man is a man that is unwavering in everything he does. Like he thinks everything he does is right. Any opinion he has is the perfect one. I would say the same thing for a woman. There are men that will use this idea of paying everything to control. But a man that pays everything does have a little bit of control, sweetheart. Like, that's just the nature of a man. And so many women will have a problem with men pushing back on her point, but will also tell men they need to lead. Leadership has to come with some control. The president has some control over the country. I mean, that's not a far-fetched and ludicrous idea. So I just wanted to talk about Tracee Ellis Ross because I really think that she is a spokeswoman for a lot of women that are single out here. And here's the thing, let's just try this. How about you just go for what you like, right? And hopefully it works for you. This woman is 52 years old and she's still not married. So something she's doing is not right. But I'm gonna leave it alone, so make sure y'all hit that like button, that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can get all of my content as soon as it drops. And with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here, man. It's your guy 5100 CJ. You dig.